All right, good afternoon, everybody. So I get the easy part, I get to talk about myself, which is always fun. um, let's see. All right, so with my story, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share about my personal story, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about Georgia empowerment and the priorities of what Georgia empowerment is, first of all, and then the priorities that Georgia empowerment has. And then I'm going to speak about some recommendations that I personally have for youth who are aging out of foster care, youth who are transitioning out, and some of the outcomes that I know working with other young people who've been through foster care. Again, everybody's story is different. And so I just want to talk a little bit about those things that resonate personally with me and also with other young people that I interact with on a daily basis. So I know this probably looks like my Facebook profile picture, but I just wanted to just introduce myself a little bit. As a founding member of Georgia Empowerment, basically I had the unique opportunity of being invited to some of the first empowerment meetings, which was housed at the Community Foundation, and basically it was known as MAYO, which is Metro Atlanta Youth Opportunities Initiative. And so at the time I was a high school student, and so I was invited to this meeting of current and former foster youth who were meeting to talk about stuff that needed to be changed in the system. And so that sounded okay to me at first, but then when I heard there was going to be pizza at this meeting, I definitely made it a priority to show up on time. As a high school student. And so when I came to the meeting, I was so inspired because there were so many young people who had been through foster care who were really, really interested in making a change in the system, not only for themselves, but for other young people who were coming behind them. And that was definitely something that I was passionate about. And so from that moment, I got involved, and I have been pushing for youth rights and youth voice since then, not only in Georgia, but also as a national fellow for the Jim Casey Youth Opportunities Initiative, which is also an organization dedicated specifically to ensuring that youth aging out of foster care achieve positive outcomes. And so being a part of that movement of young people and seeing Mayo turn into Georgia Empowerment, turn into the Georgia Youth Opportunities Initiative, has just been such a huge benefit to see youth voice being heard. And Georgia Empowerment is actually housed in the Multi-Agency Alliance for Children, and they have been very pivotal in ensuring that young people have a voice, older young people age 14 and above. And so that is actually, this picture here, that's me. Jeez, there I go again. That is actually the only picture that I have of myself as a child. And it's actually a picture of my older sister, and I was looking at the picture of my older sister one day and saw myself in the corner and got really excited because I had never seen a picture of myself that young. And so, of course, I cropped her out and magnified myself because it's the only baby picture I have. So I have to be excited about this. But I think that happens a lot to young people in foster care who are moved from home to home. A lot of times they don't have any connection to their past. And a lot of times they don't have anyone to tell them what happened to their family or what their family history is. And so when we talk about, later on in the presentation, I'll talk specifically about the importance of connections and the importance of ensuring that young people build social capital. And so even if they only have one baby picture of themselves, they're able to know about their history and know about their family, even if they're in foster care or adopted. And so basically I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, where the barbecue is great. And I moved to Atlanta at the age of 9. And when I came to Atlanta, I actually came to Atlanta because my baby brother was a victim of SIDS. He died in my grandmother's care when we were in Memphis. And so my mother decided, we have to do something different. We have to make a change. And a change for her meant uprooting the family from Memphis and moving to Atlanta because it was a new beginning. And one of my aunts had visited years before and said, oh my God, it's so clean. So we moved to Atlanta because of her reviews of the streets being way cleaner than they are in Memphis. So we moved here without any community connections, without any resources, no family connections. And the result of that was us moving from homeless shelter to homeless shelter. And homeless shelter to homeless shelter also means school to school. And so my education was very unstable. I didn't stay at any school for any period of time because every time our housing changed, so did the school. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. And so finally, after we got a little bit of stability through a program out of one of the homeless shelters, we got our own apartment. And it was actually in the Fulton County area. And in this apartment, we were really excited. It was our first time having our own place. This program was going to help us get furniture and all those great things. But my mother ended up leaving us home alone for, a period of time. And one of the workers for that particular program came, found that we had been in the house for a number of days by ourselves with an infant sibling, and decided that, hey, you guys are, foster care is probably something we have to do until we investigate this. Now, being a young person at the age of 10, I did not understand it. I was very upset. I was separated from my younger sister, who she was actually born before we came here to Atlanta. And my older sister and I were placed into a group home setting. That was the policy then. The emergency placement was a group home, and we stayed there for a number of months before being moved into our foster home placement. And so for any young person who has to enter the foster care system, this equals a lot of different levels of disconnection. Disconnection from community, disconnection from biological family, disconnection from any siblings or peers that you may have had, disconnection from whatever resources or community connections that young person has. And so that's why I too am a big advocate for, just like Judge Walker said, making sure that there are foster homes and placements available close to where that young person comes into care, so that they can have those same connections, they can attend the same schools, they can be familiar with the community around them. So that was my story. I was disconnected from all of those things in a moment, and then I had to figure out, okay, so how do I build from here? Luckily, I was placed in the foster home that I was placed in. I was actually able to stay there, which is very different from a lot of my counterparts who also came into care. I stayed in the same foster home for the duration of my time in care. So after that initial group home placement, I was placed into a foster home along with my older sister, and we stayed there for the duration of my time in care. Now, there were some bumpy roads. I was not the best teenager. But that family stuck with me, and I was able to stay there for the duration of my time in care. So this is my graduation picture. I know you guys are like flipping through my Facebook profile, so this is what this is. So actually, I was able, being with a stable family, I was for the first time able to stay in the same school from the time I entered care, which was 5th grade, up until the time I graduated from high school. And I went off to college. I attended Emory University, and then I came home during breaks, and I came back home after I graduated from college because I still didn't have a job yet. So I still had that community there. But one thing about a supportive home is not only did I have a place to live and food to eat and people to look after me, but I also had people who encouraged me to get involved in extracurricular activities. And now for a young person who is in their biological home, so how many people have biological kids again? Like, I know we had hands earlier. A lot of times you encourage your kids to get involved in stuff. You're trying to see what they like, what they're good at when they're young. You let them try things out. I actually had to do that as a high school student because, again, when I was in elementary school, I never stayed in the same school. And so I literally tried everything when I was in high school. I was a dancer, I was a singer, I cannot sing. I was on the tennis team because they had cute little skirts, and the year I played, they didn't get skirts. I did everything because I was trying to figure out, what am I good at? What can I connect to? Where's my place? And so my family really supported me in that exploration, even though usually young people get an opportunity to do that exploration when they're in elementary school. And so after getting into school, I actually started to excel. Initially entering school, I was very, very behind because I didn't attend school at all. And so I missed whole chunks of grade levels and missed a lot of information. And one story that I like to tell that really speaks to supportive adults really paying attention to a young person's needs is when I first came into care, again, very behind in school, and my teacher, actually, I was sitting in the back of the classroom. She pulled me to the front, and I started to do better on my work. I had no idea that I had such intense vision problems. I just thought everybody saw blurry, like I literally didn't know I had intense vision problems. And so my teacher collaborated with my foster parents and got me to a doctor. And I actually had to wear a patch over my eye because I had a very severe case I had a lazy eye. And so, oh my gosh, people made fun of me all the time because of this patch in elementary school. But I am so grateful that my foster parents made that decision early on so that the muscles in my eyes could be strengthened, because if they hadn't, then I would be having even more problems as an adult. And so just, having a group of people who are advocating for the best needs of this particular child was huge for me. And so basically, reconnecting with my biological family is something that's still in progress for me. My younger sister was adopted by a maternal aunt. And there was a period of time that I didn't get to see her, but now as an adult, I'm able to reestablish that connection. And then also I maintain my connection with my adopted family. They're phenomenal people, and that's the huge thing. They actually adopted me as an adult. And so that's my family on the side. These are my sisters right here. And I always say, because sometimes it doesn't seem like I heard a young person recently say, I'm 17 years old, nobody's gonna adopt me, nobody's gonna want me and their family, and it hurts my heart, because even if it's not adoption, young people need permanent connections. I can't even describe how detrimental it is to age out of foster care or to just be an adult, period, without people to connect to. And your car breaks down on the side of the road and you don't know how to change a tire, and you realize I have no one to call, is extremely detrimental. And I hear stories like that all the time of young people who come to a place and they realize, wow, I have no one at this moment. And so my biggest thing is, no young person should feel like that. No young person should ever feel like that in any situation. And so how do we help young people to reconnect after being disconnected for so many years? So these are some of the things that we've talked about all throughout the day, of reasons why young people are disconnected and things that happen to them that are beyond their control, that leaves them in a position of not having the connections that they need in order to be independent, in order to sustain themselves. And so again, we've talked about them. Experts all day have really went into depth about these different things that young people experience as a result of being disconnected. And so I'm a really huge advocate of young people being able to build those connections. It is not, I don't think, it's not a program that's going to, a young person pass through this program and all of a sudden, ta-da, I have connections now. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a community of supportive adults who strategically plan for how this young person is going to be connected in all these different domains. Because once again, when they enter foster care, there's a severe disconnect in every single domain. I literally did not know, I didn't have any connection to, I don't know any family beyond my mother's siblings. And my dad's side, I know my dad, and sometimes they're like relatives when I visit there, and I'm just like, I'm whispering to my sister, who's that? I don't know this person. Because there are so many people that I just don't know. And it's almost embarrassing that I have all this family that I don't know. And so how can we ensure that young people are connected to a supportive permanent placement, but also for those older youth, what are we going to do about that biological family that more than likely they're going to go back to? And so the whole time they're in care, they're being separated because they're being safe. The state is protecting them. This is the best placement. But statistics have shown that these young people are going to go back to their biological family. So how can we be proactive about that? How can we prepare? Even though it's not a safe situation when they're in care, it's absolutely imperative that young people are kept safe. When they age out and they're going back there, what can we do to be proactive about, preparing that for that relationship that they're probably going to go back to, even if we as a state don't approve of it? And so, yes, building social capital.